All right, notes today. Notes today start with this question number 15. It says Amanda has $210 in a school lunch account. She spends $35 each week on school lunches. The equation y equals 210 minus 35x represents the total amount in Amanda's school lunch account y for x weeks of purchasing lunches. Okay, so it says find the x and y intercepts. Start there. X-intercept is when the line is going to cross somewhere out here on the x-axis. And it's going to have an ordered pair with like a number, right? I move over 5 maybe, and then I go up 0. So if I make a t-chart here, okay, so write this down. Make an xy chart. We know that the x-intercept is going to have a y value of 0. The opposite of that is that a y-intercept is going to have a x value of 0. Okay? So don't let all these words up here at the top confuse you. Just start here. Start with this t-chart. Okay? So if I'm trying to find the x-intercept first, I'm going to take this equation I'm going to plug in 0 for y, just like it says right there. Okay, so if I do that, this is probably the harder of the two equations, because you actually have to solve a two-step equation. Two-step equation here, I want to get the x's by themselves, so why don't I add the 35x across to the other side? 35x equals 210. Then I divide by 35, and x equals 6. Okay, the flip side of this is if I'm trying to find my y-intercept now, I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So if I go 210 minus 35 times 0, 35 times 0 is 0. So now all of a sudden I have 210 minus 0, so 210. And then it says graph the equation by using the intercepts, okay? But I think it helps if we think about what the variables stand for. X is weeks, and Y is the total in the lunch account. Okay, so this is like dollars. Okay, and then we're just sketching a very rough graph here. Okay, x equals 6. So let's put that here. Let's call this 6 weeks. And up here we're going to put in 210. So we're going to put that up here somewhere. Here's $210. Okay, and then we're going to draw a line to connect those points. So what it's saying, okay, what do these things mean? It means that in 6 weeks, she will have $0. That's what this point means. And then this point means that in week 0, in other words, when she started this account, she has $210. So she started with $210, and in 6 weeks she ran out of money. That's how the money is being spent. $35 a week. Okay, let's go to a different one. This one says that this ship, it's a container ship. It carries gigantic containers, like huge boxes that hold stuff. Okay, workers can unload a ship at a rate of 1 container, 1 TEU, every minute. The equation then says y equals, starting with this 8,063 containers, and then dropping 60 containers every hour, right? If it takes 1 minute to unload one box, then in X hours, you'd be able to do 60 containers. Okay, so here's where we got to go. We got to find these intercepts. Okay, so let's make a little divider here, and let's do x-intercept on one side of it. Let's do y-intercept on the other side of it. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, remember, we said we plug 0 in for y. So take this equation and say 0 equals 8,600 or 8,063 minus 60x. Add the 60x across to the other side. So I've got 60x equals 8,063. Need your calculator now. 8,063 divided by 60. We're going to get a decimal. X equals 134.4. Okay, keep going. Y-intercept now. I'm going to plug in 0 for my x. So instead of x here, I'm putting 0. So this goes away. My y-intercept is at 8,063. Okay, so then label your x and y axis. X is hours. Y is containers. The x-intercept is how many hours it takes for there to be 0 containers. So in this case, it's that 135 basically. Okay, I'm rounding this number up. 135 hours. We start with 8,063 containers, and eventually we go to 0. That's what we're looking at. Okay, now, bad news is your notes was hard word problems. Good news is we're done with the hard word problems. So go with me to the next page. So if your sub hasn't given you the next page, ask for it. Okay? This next page, I go in here and I have just some simple or simpler, right? Not as much reading. Okay, so it says x equals -2. This is actually your assignment for today, so I'm giving you free points here. If x always equals -2, what that means is that y will be changing, but x will not. So let's say that x is -2 when y is 0, and when y is 1, and when y is 2. Well, -2, 0, that is right there. -2, 1 means left 2, up 1. -2, 2 means left 2, up 2. So what you're getting is you're getting a vertical line. That's all we want you to see. When you see that equation, it's going to be a vertical line that crosses at -2. Okay? So now this one's going to be kind of like that, except different because it's a y equals, okay? So start this one the same way. Plug in -4, -4, -4. Then plug in some other numbers, maybe 0, 1, 2. Then go graph those and see what it turns into. I'm going to let you finish that one on your own. Make your graph happen, okay? Let's go on to 3, though. 3 says y equals -8x. We're going to plug in some numbers. Let's plug in 0, because that's always easy to work with. Let's plug in 1, and let's plug in -1. So we're saying y equals -8 times 0. That's just going to be 0. Y equals -8 times 1. That's just going to turn into -8. Y equals -8 times -1. That's going to turn into +8. we're doing a video like this, if I'm ever moving too fast for you, pause the video, back it up, watch it again, okay? You got to kind of do that speed thing yourself. You can't just say, oh, we'll work too fast. 0, 0. Plot that. 1 comma negative 8. I go over 1, I go down to negative 8. Negative 1, 8. That means I'm going to go left, negative 1, and up to 8. Draw your line. Okay, keep working at it. Go to the back with me. X and Y intercepts. This is what we did on those word problems, okay? Just a different view of it, but without the words this time. Why don't we try number 10 together, because it looks a little bit more difficult than 9 and 11 maybe, okay? So all we're trying to do is find the X and Y intercepts, and they've already done some of this for you. They plugged in 0 here for X. So I need just some space, right? I need to be able to say, okay, 5 minus y equals negative 3 times 0. Well, this is 0. So then I have 5 minus y equals 0. So I'm going to make this easy on us and just add y across. 5 equals y. Plug it in. Graph it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, flip side is that we plug 0 in for y. So I'm taking it and plugging it in there. So I'm going to go 5 minus 0 equals negative 3x. That turns into just 5. And then divide by negative 3. And we're going to get a decimal. Negative 1.6 repeating. And that's going to freak you out probably, okay? But just means go left a little bit and then up 0. So left 1.6. So left to 1 is there. Left to 1.6 is about there. And then we're going to draw a line through those 2 points. All right, that's a good start. Now you guys need to do some work. Please be good. Get some stuff done.